Greetings to you all. Welcome to our video today. So this, I have to say, this is quite a scream of a video. You may have noticed recently that Britain seems to have developed a rather strange new and somewhat ethical foreign policy, and it's kind of bizarre. But this also feeds into another Brexit thing as well, because this shows you just how little, and as we go into the article, you're going to see just how little influence Britain now has on the world stage. This, quote, global Britain is nothing. We are an absolutely diminishing power. And it's very likely that the United Kingdom probably won't exist. You know, given the fact of Johnson's discussion, but there you go. So, anyway, on to the article. So, this comes from politics.co.uk, and the title is Britain's New Ethical Foreign Policy, a Bad Time to Grow a Conscience. Suddenly, it seems that Britain has reacquired an ethical foreign policy, a concept not seen on these shores since its introduction by Robin Cook at the start of the Blair government. The first new sighting occurred on July 6th, when Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab introduced the UK's new global human rights sanction regime, known as the Mazinski Act, along with a list of Russian and Saudis set to suffer sanctions. As Raab explained, this dynamic new vision for a truly global Britain would ensure that the country could hold account to the perpetrators of the worst human rights abuses. A week later, Britain was facing down another unsavoury regime, as the government U-turned on Huawei's involvement in Britain's 5G networks. There were good reasons, both technical and industrial, for this change of heart, and US pressure was all the harder to resist after China's ruthless assault on Hong Kong's autonomy. But the decisive factor behind the reversal seems to have been the growing rebellion on Tory backbenchers, as the rank and file of the party talked itself into a mood of righteous indignation about the behaviour of Xi's China. It was almost thought as this was the first moment at which the true nature of that autocratic, ruthless and boundless ambitious regime has been revealed to them. The government has since called out China's gross, egregious human rights violations. And poor Raab, he spoke so truculently on July the 6th. Today, this government and this House sent a very clear message on behalf of the British people that those with blood on their hands, the thugs of despots or the henchmen of dictators, won't be free to waltz into this country to buy up property on the King's Road, or do their Christmas shopping in Knightsbridge, or to siphon dirty money through British banks or financial institutions. How was he to know that the Russia report by Parliament's Intelligence Committee would be available to us all to read only 2 weeks later? After all, the government had succeeded in suppressing it for the previous 10 months, and there were plans in place to ensure that a competent chair and a resolute committee keep it under wraps for further months to come. Instead, the new committee asserted its independence and made the report public, and highlighted the government's studied lack of interest in discovering whether Russian interference interfered in the Brexit referendum, and painting a worrying picture of the depth and extent of establishment capture in Londongrad, by dirty Russian money. A second section entitled "Trying to shut the stable door" mused on how tough it would be to do much about this, and now that Russian influence was so entrenched in a mismatch had arisen between the lawyers and accountants retained to defend Russian interests and the under-resourced regulators to investigate agencies trying to do something about it. The Knightsbridge shops and the Kings Road estate agents seem to have little worry about for the foreseeable future. The principal stand against Saudi abusers collapsed even faster. Scarcely had the list of Saudis sanctioned for their involvement in the murder of Kalam Khashoggi been published when Defence Secretary Ben Wallace postponed his phoned his Saudi counterpart to mend fences. Rather more to the point, Britain then announced that it would resume in issuing export licences for arms sales to Saudi Arabia, which had been suspended since last year after a legal challenge related to the war in Yemen. British supplied warplanes and British weapons have caused thousands of civilian deaths in that tragic and pointless conflict, but that was clearly not going to be allowed to stand in the way of the new $5 billion contract to supply the Saudis with a further 48 Tycoon aircraft. The government faced a real dilemma. Even before the pandemic sideswiped the British economy, the state of manufacturing industry was a major concern, and it is an inconceivable fact that Big Pharma, aside from the BAE Systems, is the crown jewel in the British industrial manufacturing, along with Rolls-Royce, whose engines power the BAE Typhoons. The Saudis have been the cornerstones of the BAE's business ever since the company's predecessors broke the US monopoly on that market by selling the Lightning fighters in the 1960s. The BAE is now the fourth biggest arms company in the world, directing and employing over 360,000 in mainly high-tech jobs in the UK and supporting tens of thousands more indirectly. The company's UK centre is the centre of gravity is Lancashire, where Rolls is Derby and so forth are both critical to the government's levelling up agenda. Declaring an ethical foreign policy is easy and briefly somewhat gratifying. Living up to it is a lot harder. It involves being ready to sustain real economic damage. So strident self-righteousness may not be the best indulged when the economy is flat on its back. A bit less rhetoric and more hard work may be preferable on setting our own house in order so that we are less dependent on arms exports and money laundering and on the patient diplomacy required to build the international alliances which stand a real chance of influencing the behaviour of obnoxious regimes. Otherwise, an ethical foreign policy will struggle to re-establish itself in the UK habitat. And slam, dunk, done. Ladies and gentlemen, we have, and I completely agree, this Magnitsky Act should go and target these people. There should be a key influence to doing it and finding out these Russian money and just getting rid of it, getting it out of our system. And this has to happen. As I've said, this is why there should be an investigation into dirty Russian money. But we can't have that because, that might touch on the Brexit vote as well. So, we can't have that. Can't be staining the precious Brexit vote in dirty Russian money. But, and as I said, this is why it's important to do. Because as you let one bit of corruption slide through, then the next bit of corruption that just gets bigger and bigger, and the sluice gate just opens more and more. And we are at a state, I think, in this country where the sluice gate is half open. It's not impossible at this moment in time to actually close it, and it would not take a lot to actually do. First of all, it would actually involve funding the security services. Second of all, it would actually doing an inquiry into what's going on. Once you've done that inquiry, that can make suggestions into what we need to do, and then we can look at laws and acts that can help limit that and help, as we said there, to continue using this analogy, to help close the sluice gate. And then we stop more and more Russian money flowing into our into our economy. We cannot sustain it. We should not be anywhere near. This is what's absolutely terrifying. It really is. And a lot of people right at the very start have said that one of the big things that was a big push for a lot of these people to start supporting Brexit was the fact that the EU has introduced a lot of tax avoidance laws which have come on the books, in fact, start of this year, so that they can get away with it, that they can just continue to pump lots of dark and secret dirty money into this country. And you should absolutely be against that. You should be aghast and horrified that this is going on in our country, and that our security services, who are meant to look at this and stop this, but there's nothing going on. They're not even doing anything about it. And that's the key thing about the Russia report. The fact that no one has been doing this. And this isn't something new. Go back a couple of years and there was a panel on this. There was a discussion that happened in the House of Commons with ministers and MPs questioning the security services. And they've said themselves they know who the perpetrators are. They know the addresses. But, in their own words, there was no political will to go after these people. Because unfortunately, and the large thing that we would find if there was an investigation into this, is that the Conservative Party are massive recipients of this dirty money. And that might upset a lot of apple carts. And once again, it's another reason why we should have these types of investigations. This helps defend our economy and helps keep our MPs a lot more honest. So, there you go. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, share and subscribe to the channel and share this video about. And also, if you'd like to support the channel in another way, if you check the box below, we do have links to my Patreon and another link to Buy Me a Coffee, where you can make a one-off donation to this channel. So, as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.